Have you ever experienced a relationship where the person you once cherished now feels like a stranger? Or worse, have you felt confined with someone who seems to offer nothing but frustration and disappointment? As time passes, the love you once shared can begin to diminish, leaving behind a persistent sense of resentment. If you've ever pondered how marriages can grow distant or how deeply rooted issues, be they emotional, physical, or financial, can gradually unravel what once appeared to be a strong bond, then this. In today's video, we will explore the narratives of 3 American women confronting significant challenges. Each woman, navigating her own personal struggles, reveals her emotional journey and the evolution of her marriage over the years. From coping with a partner's unhealthy habits to uncovering a painful affair, or grappling with feelings of being overwhelmed by a lack of ambition and responsibility, these stories are both raw and authentic. As time passes, the burdens of neglect, betrayal, and unmet needs have become increasingly heavy for each of them. Bear's departure leaves them grappling with their beliefs about love and commitment. Through these narratives, we will reveal the quiet toll that emotional exhaustion inflicts on both mental and physical well-being. These women have battled inner demons they feared to express, and their struggles mirror the harsh realities many encounter in their relationships. As we navigate their emotional journeys, we will delve into the significance of acknowledging when a relationship ceases to nurture you. Discover how to reclaim your peace and happiness. By the end of this video, you will not only understand the harsh truths of loveless marriages but also gain insight into navigating the complex emotions that accompany them. These real stories are deeply relatable and may resonate with your own experiences. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Your support means a great deal to me, and if you found this helpful. If you find value in this video, please like it and share it with anyone who might benefit from these lessons. Let's get started. One change that many women notice is in their husband's behavior or habits over time. These shifts can gradually erode the foundation of their relationship. In some cases, a husband may develop habits that were once overlooked but now become a source of constant frustration. For instance, excessive smoking, which was once a minor issue, can spiral into a significant problem that affects the entire home. The scent of smoke may cling to the home, but it also poses risks to the health of both individuals. Frustration can mount as one partner feels overlooked or disrespected when their requests to quit smoking are dismissed. It's not solely about the cigarettes. Perhaps the other partner has begun to disregard the importance of a tidy environment, allowing clutter and disorder to take over. They might neglect their health, skip essential doctor appointments, or overlook their physical well-being. These actions, though minor at first glance, can build up over time. Over time, the burden falls on the wife to mend what's been frayed. The daily struggle of cohabiting with someone whose habits are shifting towards the unhealthy or inconsiderate can erode even the most resilient connections. Initially, she might perceive it as a slight annoyance, but as these behaviors continue, they morph into an unseen barrier that separates them. She begins to question whether her husband is aware of or concerned about the impact of his actions on her. The once affectionate and encouraging partner has transformed into someone whose demeanor feels increasingly distant. What once felt like a blessing now feels more like a burden, fostering a quiet resentment that many women find difficult to overlook. This growing irritation evolves into a daily battle, often resulting in profound dissatisfaction within the marriage. The traits that were once endearing in the man she chose have morphed into sources of annoyance, leading her to reconsider the life she envisioned for herself. These subtle shifts accumulate over time, becoming unseen forces that jeopardize the closeness and intimacy she yearns to preserve. The dynamics of a relationship can often become strained due to the unequal distribution of responsibilities. Over time, this imbalance tends to create tension, particularly in marriages. Many women, especially those managing households and raising children, frequently find themselves bearing the brunt of family duties, often without substantial support from their partners. Whether it involves caring for young children, assisting adult children, or even tending to grandchildren, the burden of responsibility often rests heavily on the wife. Result in a sense of frustration and resentment, as she perceives that her husband is either unwilling or unable to share the responsibilities. Take, for instance, Sarah, a mother of 2 teenagers and a grandmother of 3. For years, she has taken on the role of primary caregiver in her household, managing the daily routines of getting the kids off to school, overseeing homework, preparing meals, and addressing the needs of her aging parents. Meanwhile, her husband spends his evenings engrossed in the television or socializing with friends, appearing oblivious to the demands placed on her. The weight of responsibility rests heavily on Sarah's shoulders, intensifying her frustration as she navigates the challenges of family life. The absence of support from her husband leaves her feeling overlooked, as if her efforts are unappreciated. This growing sense of invisibility gradually chips away at her respect for him. As the unequal distribution of responsibilities widens the rift between them, she grapples with the feeling that she is shouldering the entire burden of the family while he remains distant, unaware of the emotional strain it imposes on her. This imbalance is becoming increasingly difficult to bear. Creates not only frustration but also a profound sense of emotional fatigue. Sarah begins to wonder if her husband genuinely grasps the essence of partnership in their marriage. She feels isolated, even in his presence, as the imbalance in responsibilities persists. The emotional connection between them starts to weaken, and the respect that once flourished begins to fade. This situation is far from uncommon. Numerous women face similar challenges as they strive to juggle family obligations, work commitments, and their own personal needs. Experiencing a lack of support and appreciation from their partners can gradually lead to significant issues within a marriage. Over time, this imbalance in responsibilities may create fractures in the relationship, and the growing resentment can become increasingly difficult to overlook. Additionally, as we age, our health and fitness often decline, presenting new challenges that cannot be ignored. For many couples, the physical transformations associated with aging can be tough to embrace, especially when these changes impact their connection with one another. This situation is especially pronounced when one partner's changes are more pronounced than the other's. Health declines as a result of lifestyle decisions like smoking. What may have once been a minor concern has evolved into a significant source of stress for the couple. Consider Linda and Tom, who have shared over 30 years of marriage. In their early days, both were active, relishing outdoor adventures and sustaining good physical health. However, as time passed, Tom's smoking habit intensified, leading to a decline in his health. The once vigorous man, capable of matching Linda's pace on hikes and long walks, now finds himself spending most of his time. His time spent in front of the TV is marked by coughing and a struggle to breathe as his health deteriorates. Linda finds herself shouldering the burden in their relationship, leading to both emotional and physical strain. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons valuable, please comment one below to let me know you're still with me. One of the most striking changes has been Tom's loud, persistent snoring, which has become intolerable. His snoring is so severe that it disrupts Linda's sleep night after night. She has tried everything, earplugs, moving to another room, and even suggesting he see a doctor about his breathing problems, but nothing has helped. The lack of sleep is taking its toll on her energy levels, mood, and overall well-being. Instead of the restful nights she used to cherish, Linda now spends her nights tossing and turning, trying to escape the sound of Tom's snoring. The impact of Tom's declining health goes beyond just his snoring. The physical strain from his smoking-related illnesses is now evident in their day-to-day life. Linda worries. She worries about what lies ahead, fearing that Tom's health issues may deteriorate further, leading to an overwhelming responsibility of caregiving that she might have to shoulder alone. This anxiety intensifies, complicating her ability to navigate the growing tensions in their relationship. As Tom's physical condition worsens, their emotional bond begins to unravel. Linda finds herself in the role of a caretaker rather than a partner, feeling unsupported by Tom in both his health struggles and his commitment to nurturing their relationship. For many couples, this decline in health and well-being can become a significant challenge. A source of tension arises when one partner confronts the repercussions of unhealthy habits, leaving the other feeling overwhelmed by the duty of managing the household, finances, and the emotional strain of a sick spouse. The love and companionship that once characterized their relationship may gradually diminish as they grapple with the harsh truths of aging and illness. What was once a partnership rooted in shared joy and mutual support transforms into a scenario of unbalanced care and mounting frustration, leading to feelings of neglect for one partner. The painful emotions a woman can experience in a marriage often stem from the feeling of being ignored or neglected by her husband over time. When a woman senses that her partner no longer cares about her or shows interest in her life, it can lead to profound loneliness and a sense of abandonment. This emotional distance frequently becomes evident when the once vibrant communication between the couple begins to fade, leaving the woman feeling isolated in a relationship that should provide support and companionship. Consider the story of Emily. For 4 years, Dave and Emily had embodied the essence of a joyful partnership, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and a life enriched by mutual respect and love. However, in recent times, Emily has observed a marked shift in Dave's demeanor. He no longer inquires about her day, shows interest in her hobbies, or offers even a simple word of encouragement. Instead, he appears consumed by his own concerns, be it work, sports, or his phone, seemingly unaware of Emily's struggle to maintain balance on her own. This absence of connection has left a palpable void. The emotional toll of household responsibilities weighs heavily on Emily as she finds herself shouldering the entire burden. From laundry to cooking, cleaning to managing finances, she handles it all while Dave remains largely uninvolved. When she reaches out for assistance, he either dismisses her requests or makes half-hearted efforts that fail to meet her needs. Consequently, Emily feels utterly exhausted, emotionally drained, and unsupported. The weight of these chores rests solely on her, and with each plea for help, the situation only seems to worsen. It appears that her needs are overlooked, and this sense of neglect intensifies the emotional burden of feeling insignificant. Emily begins to wonder if Dave even acknowledges her sacrifices, much less values them. She reminisces about the times when their conversations held depth and their moments together were rich with authentic connection. Now, she bears the weight alone, unable to confide in the one person who should stand by her side. Gradually, the isolation grows unbearable. Emily feels as though she's cohabiting with a stranger in her own home, someone who may be physically present but is emotionally and mentally lost in another time. The emotional neglect she endures chips away at her self-esteem, leading her to question her worth in the marriage. The relentless feeling of being taken for granted erodes the love and affection that once united them, leaving her to ponder whether this is the life she had envisioned. For many women, this emotional isolation acts as a silent killer in their relationships. The absence of support, the lack of empathy, and the feeling of being invisible can all contribute to an overwhelming sense of emptiness. When one partner feels unseen or unheard, it creates a rift that is difficult to bridge. What was once a partnership filled with shared experiences and mutual care transforms into a marriage of convenience, leaving both partners, especially the woman, feeling emotionally abandoned. There is a change in perspectives on life and marriage. When people are young, they often approach love and marriage with an idealistic view. Vision filled with aspirations and hope, the idea of discovering a companion to embark on a journey of joy, exploration, and shared encouragement seems like a commitment that is perpetually attainable. However, as time progresses and life unfolds its complexities, the truth of marriage begins to emerge, frequently influenced by the pragmatic hurdles that accompany aging, health issues, and evolving priorities. Consider Carol and Jack, who once embodied the essence of a blissful, untroubled couple. In their 20s, they nurtured grand ambitions of travel and the creation of a home, and spending their golden years together in a peaceful, idyllic way. They often talked about how their love would grow stronger with age, how they'd support each other through thick and thin, and how they'd enjoy their later years surrounded by love and laughter. However, as they entered their 60s, their relationship started to feel more like a series of compromises than a partnership filled with mutual joy. For Carol, the early years of their marriage were full of excitement. Jack was ambitious, caring, and always prepared for the next chapter. However, as the days passed, the burdens of life began to press down on them. They found themselves dedicating more time to their grandchildren, navigating family duties, and confronting the health issues that accompany growing older. The romantic escapes and deep discussions about what lay ahead were replaced by the routine challenges of daily life, from financial concerns to the complexities of health management. Carol started to sense that the vibrancy of their connection had faded. Faded Jack, once brimming with energy and ideas, now found himself more sedentary, frequently lamenting his aches and pains while fixating on his declining health. Their conversations had shifted from dreams and aspirations to discussions about who would make the next trip to the doctor or how to handle the house repairs. This change in their dynamic led Carol to reevaluate her expectations of marriage. The vision of growing old together filled with joy and passion was now overshadowed by the burdens of aging, including her own. Jack and Carol's earlier years together now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by a quiet resignation. Carol found herself in the role of a caretaker rather than a partner, while Jack, though physically present, had grown emotionally distant. For many couples, this shift in perspective is a natural aspect of aging. The expectation of a joyful, carefree marriage often clashes with the realities of age-related challenges, leading both men and women to experience disillusionment as the sparkle of their early relationship fades, leaving them to navigate the practicalities of life. The demands of caregiving, managing finances, and facing illness can make the once optimistic view of marriage feel out of reach. As the years pass, some individuals, like Carol and Jack, begin to lose hope in the possibility of rediscovering the passion they once shared. Instead, they settle into a quieter, more functional version of marriage, where emotional intimacy takes a backseat to survival and routine. This shift isn't necessarily a reflection of failure, but it can be the challenging transition from what was once an exhilarating journey brimming with possibilities has now transformed into a familiar yet frequently unfulfilling routine. The lively bond that once characterized the marriage may yield to a sense of acceptance, yet for many, the yearning for something deeper persists, a desire for the love, energy, and excitement that they once thought would sustain them into their later years. As couples navigate the complexities of aging, they inevitably confront the psychological shifts that accompany the passage of time. For many, these changes can result in unforeseen challenges within their relationships. One area where these shifts are frequently most apparent is in sexual intimacy. Middle-aged men, in particular, may encounter a decline in their sexual health, such as erectile dysfunction, reduced libido, or other physical issues that can create a disparity between their desires and their physical capabilities. This decline can foster a profound sense of frustration for both partners, especially when the wife may still be in the prime of her sexual desire. Feels that her needs are not being met. Consider the story of Michelle and Greg, a couple in their mid-40s who have been married for nearly 20 years. In the early years of their marriage, their sexual connection was a central part of their bond. Michelle remembers the passionate nights and the closeness that came with their physical intimacy. However, over the years, Greg's health began to decline. Stress at work, his lack of exercise, and the natural aging process all took a toll on his body, leading to a noticeable decrease in his sexual drive. Initially, Michelle believed it was merely a fleeting phase, yet as time passed and years rolled on, the issue remained unresolved. Greg appeared apathetic toward seeking a remedy. In contrast, Michelle discovered a surge in her sexual desire during her 30s. She felt empowered and alive, her sexual energy reaching new heights. She yearned to connect with Greg on that level, but the physical closeness they once cherished had transformed into a source of frustration. Greg's lack of responsiveness to her needs fostered feelings of rejection and disconnection within her. Attempt to be compassionate, reminding herself that he was merely experiencing a phase. However, as time went on, the emotional and physical gap between them expanded. This lack of sexual fulfillment began to erode Michelle's self-esteem, leading her to doubt her attractiveness to Greg and whether he still valued her needs. The mounting frustration left Michelle pondering the viability of their marriage without the physical bond that had once been crucial to their relationship. Resentment brewed within her as she reflected on the sacrifices made for the marriage, yet her own needs were consistently overlooked. As this discontent persisted, Michelle found herself contemplating the possibility of ending the union. Uncertainty clouded her thoughts. Was it the absence of sexual intimacy that troubled her, or was it the emotional rift that had developed alongside it? One thing became evident: the longer these issues remained unresolved, the more they undermined the very essence of their relationship. The mounting physical and emotional frustrations grew increasingly difficult to dismiss. Michelle sensed a gradual disconnection from the woman she used to be, trapped in a marriage that failed to meet her needs. This is a truth many couples encounter as time passes. When sexual intimacy shifts due to physiological changes, it can result in a profound dissatisfaction that extends beyond the bedroom. For numerous women, the lack of physical closeness can evoke feelings of rejection, loneliness, and frustration. If these emotions remain unaddressed, they may ultimately prompt a re-evaluation of the marriage's future. The emotional toll of feeling disconnected in such an intimate part of life can leave both partners questioning whether they can ever rediscover the passion that once united them. As time passes in a marriage, many women may find themselves comparing their husbands to other men, often without even realizing it. These comparisons can arise from feelings of disappointment or frustration, particularly when they notice a change in how their husbands treat them, especially after the honeymoon phase has faded in the early days. In the early days of their relationship, everything was vibrant and thrilling. Their husbands lavished them with attention, affection, and thoughtfulness. However, as time passes and life settles into a routine, women may begin to perceive a shift. The small acts of love and care that once flowed effortlessly now appear infrequent, altering the dynamic of their relationship. This change can lead to the unsettling tendency to compare their husbands to other men, particularly those who appear more attentive, affectionate, or engaged in family life. If you're finding this video helpful, please leave a comment below to let me know you're still with me. Consider the story of Jennifer and Mike, who have been married for 15 years. In the beginning, Mike was attentive and thoughtful, making Jennifer feel cherished. He would surprise her with flowers, listen closely when she spoke, and consistently prioritize her needs. However, now Jennifer feels that those gestures have diminished, leaving her to question whether Mike even notices her at social gatherings anymore. With friends, she notices how some husbands are actively engaged with their wives, helping out with chores, participating in conversations, or planning special dates. A pang of envy stirs within her as she begins to question why she doesn't receive that kind of attention. Why isn't Mike like that anymore? Doubts start to creep in. She wonders if Mike's love for her has faded over time. She questions whether he still sees her as the woman he married or if she's become just another part of the daily routine. The comparisons, though subtle at first, grow stronger as Jennifer observes how other husbands manage their family responsibilities with ease and provide more emotional support. She begins to feel that Mike is falling short in comparison, leading her to wonder why he can't seem to do the same things other men do for their wives. This habit of comparing husbands to others can leave a woman feeling undervalued and emotionally neglected. The more she compares her relationship to others, the more she may feel that her own marriage doesn't measure up. It's not that she doesn't love her husband anymore, it's more that the excitement and connection they once shared seem to have faded into the background of everyday life. The emotional intimacy that once defined their bond feels distant, and Jennifer starts to wonder if that intimacy can ever be revived. For many women, this comparative thinking can become a source of frustration. It doesn't necessarily mean that their husbands are bad partners, it's often a reflection of unmet emotional needs, the love they. In the early years, sharing may have felt effortless, but as life's responsibilities accumulate, sustaining that level of attention and affection becomes increasingly challenging. When women observe others enjoying what they desire in their marriages, the urge to compare can intensify feelings of discontent. This comparison can lead to a perception that their husband's focus has wandered, causing them to feel as if the connection they once cherished is fading. The decline in their husband's appearance and careless behavior post-marriage can also contribute to these sentiments. Initially, when we fall in love, we often concentrate on the unique qualities that make our partner stand out, whether it's their physical allure, the way they present themselves, or their vibrant energy and zest for life. However, as time goes on, marriage can occasionally dull that initial spark, especially if one partner starts to let their appearance and habits decline. This is especially evident when a partner begins to overlook their health and well-being, which can greatly affect their physical presence and the overall dynamic of the relationship. Consider the story of Jessica. When Jessica first met Dan, he embodied vitality, fit, well-groomed, and always dressed to impress. However, as the years rolled on and they embraced married life, she began to observe unexpected changes in him. His drinking became more frequent, unhealthy eating habits crept in, and his exercise routine dwindled. Bit by bit, the man she had fallen in love with transformed. The athletic, trim figure she once admired gave way to extra weight and a more disheveled appearance, and his hairline started to recede. And his once polished style was replaced by unkempt clothes and a general disregard for personal grooming. Jessica began to feel less attracted to him, and the physical changes weren't the only issue. His unhealthy habits, particularly smoking, became a significant source of frustration. Despite Jessica's repeated pleas for him to quit, Dan continued to smoke, and his bad habits only seemed to worsen. She learned that secondhand smoke is often more harmful than smoking directly, and the more she understood the dangers, the deeper her resentment grew. The smell of his cigarette smoke had become unbearable. His breath, once sweet and fresh, now reeked of stale tobacco, making it nearly impossible for Jessica to be close to him. His yellowed teeth, despite his occasional brushing, only added to her disgust. The man she once adored now felt like a stranger. Every time he spoke, the foul odor of his breath assaulted her senses, leaving her feeling nauseous and repulsed. It was as though the man she loved was slowly being overtaken by the neglect of his habits. Health and the state of their marriage were increasingly strained, but the frustrations didn't end there. Over time, Dan's snoring became another unbearable issue. It started quietly, but soon his snoring was so loud that it echoed like thunder every night. Jessica tried to address the problem by suggesting he sleep in the living room so she could get some rest, but Dan refused, insisting that the bedroom was too comfortable for him to leave. Despite Jessica's attempts to avoid the situation, she reluctantly moved to the living room herself, only for Dan to pull her back, not wanting to let her go. Sleep alone. If she persisted, he would shout and disturb the entire house, making it impossible for Jessica to escape the situation without causing further conflict. Ultimately, she gave in and returned to the bedroom, enduring another sleepless night. The constant cycle of sleeplessness, coupled with the unbearable combination of cigarette smoke and loud snoring, was taking a severe toll on Jessica's mental and physical health. Every day felt like a struggle as she grew increasingly exhausted, and her anger toward Dan only intensified. She felt a profound sense of neglect, as if he were completely oblivious to her needs, preoccupied solely with his own comfort. The man who had once taken pride in his appearance and connected with her emotionally had transformed into a stranger, unable to manage even the simplest acts of self-care. Jessica found herself in the position of reminding Dan to shower, brush his teeth, or wash his hair, basic tasks she had once taken for granted in their marriage. Yet, each time, he would dismiss her unless she explicitly prompted him. If she didn't remind him, he would go to bed without attending to these essentials. Even washing his feet or brushing his teeth left behind an unpleasant body odor that clung to the sheets. Every day, she had to wash the sheets and covers to remove the smell, which felt mentally exhausting. It wasn't just the physical chores that weighed on her, it was the emotional pressure of feeling like she was taking on the role of his caretaker instead of his partner. This lack of self-discipline and disregard for basic hygiene became a source of daily stress for Jessica. What was once a fulfilling and passionate relationship now felt burdened by these challenges. The relationship had devolved into a tedious cycle, leaving her feeling more like a caretaker than a partner. She began to wonder how much longer she could tolerate a marriage that felt so unfulfilling and distasteful, especially towards the man she once cherished. The emotional and physical strain of navigating Dan's decline was burdensome, and the lively bond they once enjoyed appeared to fade with each passing day. Several friends, women in similar situations, have shared their struggles with me, revealing that they too are confronting similar challenges in their marriages. Arise when we gather. The conversations inevitably shift to how their husbands have grown more careless and distant with age. They express how their partners have become less considerate, less attentive, and less engaged in home and family life. We share our frustrations, and while it doesn't provide a solution, there is a certain comfort in realizing I'm not alone in feeling this way. At least I'm not the only one facing this struggle. In my younger years, I always believed that I would love. I had envisioned a future with my husband, one where we would age gracefully together, cherishing the moments we shared and nurturing our bond. I pictured our later years as a tapestry of tranquility, filled with fond memories and unwavering love. Yet, as time goes on, my emotions have shifted. Each day brings a growing resentment, and the warmth I once felt has faded into a chilling distance. I find myself dreading his presence, his voice becoming a source of discomfort. I'm uncertain whether I have changed or if he has, but what is clear is that my life feels increasingly burdensome, and each day stretches on endlessly. Consider the narrative of Rebecca and her husband Steve. At 40, Rebecca finds herself in the realm of middle age, having been married to Steve for more than 15 years. To the outside world, they embody the ideal couple, a long-married duo that garners admiration. In their early years, their love ran deep, characterized by kindness and affection. Steve was consistently thoughtful and attentive, always finding ways to demonstrate his care for Rebecca, whether through small gestures or heartfelt words. Their bond was authentic, filled with laughter and shared conversations. And constructing a life brimming with happiness, Rebecca believed she had made the right decision in selecting Steve, convinced that their love would last an eternity. Yet, as time passed, a shift began to occur. Rebecca couldn't identify the precise moment it started, but gradually, Steve grew more distant. He began to exhibit signs of irritation and indifference towards her. The tender, loving words that once came so effortlessly between them began to diminish, supplanted by sharp tones and angry outbursts. Rebecca sought to comprehend the unfolding situation, but every attempt to inquire about the change was met with excuses or, worse, frustration. It felt as though she were a nuisance to him. The intimacy that once ignited passion between them now resembled an empty routine, a series of obligatory acts devoid of the warmth and love that had once characterized their bond. Rebecca started to sense that the man she had fallen in love with had vanished, replaced by someone she no longer recognized. One day, out of sheer desperation, Rebecca resolved to secretly check Steve's phone, though she was reluctant to do so. She had never imagined she'd find herself in such a situation, but she felt as if she had no other choice, and to her devastation she discovered that Steve had been having an affair with another woman. The shock hit her like a freight train. The person she had loved, the person she had trusted with her heart and her life, had betrayed her in the worst way possible. The betrayal shattered her world. She felt both heartbroken and enraged. The trust they had built over the years had been destroyed in an instant, and Rebecca found herself engulfed in a tempest of feelings. Initially, she contemplated divorce, questioning whether leaving the marriage was her only escape from the anguish. Yet, thoughts of their children and the life they had constructed together pierced her heart anew. Should she bring it all to an end, relinquish the dreams they once cherished, and begin anew? Or should she remain, weather the torment for her family's sake, and attempt to salvage something from the ruins of their union? Rebecca would lie awake at night, tears streaming down her face in the was enveloped in warmth and security, yet the shadows loomed large. Torn between the fear of losing her family and the pain of living a lie, she found herself ensnared in an impossible situation. Each day felt like a heavy burden, one she couldn't bear alone. The thought of her daughter intensified the struggle, the decision weighed heavily on her heart. She understood the importance of both parents in a child's life and was desperate to shield her from the shattering reality of a broken home. The desire to provide a happy, stable environment for her daughter clashed with the turmoil within, leaving her in a state of profound uncertainty. Could feel secure and loved. I didn't want to be the reason her world came crashing down, so I chose to sacrifice my happiness for hers. I stayed in the marriage, swallowing my pain, pretending that everything was fine and convincing myself that I was doing the right thing for her sake. My husband, realizing the gravity of what he had done, ended the affair, but the damage had already been done. The emotional chasm between us had grown too wide, and we could never return to the way things were. On the surface, we maintained the illusion of a happy family for our daughter, yet the reality was that we hardly communicated. We cohabited like strangers, only sharing words about household matters or the children. The emotional connection and understanding that once existed between us had vanished. We had transformed into two individuals occupying the same space, no longer genuinely living together. I maintained the facade of a family by sleeping in the same bed as my husband, but each time he approached me, a wave of disgust washed over me. His once affectionate touch now felt foreign. Felt foreign and unwelcome. I resented the fact that I was still in this marriage, forced to endure this painful existence because of a commitment that had long since lost its meaning. My feelings for him had morphed into something much darker, hatred and contempt. Sometimes, I wanted to scream at him to let him know just how much he had hurt me. I wanted him to understand the deep pain I was carrying, the emotional scar he had left on my heart. But I knew that shouting at him would do nothing, it wouldn't change anything. To mend the wound would only exacerbate the situation, inflicting further pain on my daughter, who deserved a tranquil home rather than the war zone we had turned into. How much longer could I endure this marriage? Would I spend my life in pretense? Sometimes I question whether it's my fault, whether I've changed, or if it's him, but I can't find the answers. All I know is that each day is steeped in suffering, and I feel ensnared in an unending cycle of despair with no escape. Then there's the tale of Rachel and her husband Jason. Rachel, at 42, dedicated 15 years of her life to Jason. Throughout this time, she poured her youth, energy, and love into creating a home, raising their children, and maintaining their lives. She was the heart of the household, managing the children, handling chores, cooking every meal, and ensuring everything ran smoothly. She set aside her ambitions, convinced that her devotion to him and their family would earn her the love, support, and appreciation she longed for. However, what Rachel discovered was the reality of her marriage was vastly different from her expectations. Instead of striving for a brighter future for their family, Jason chose to live carelessly, dedicating his time to video games and drinking with friends, displaying no interest in enhancing their lives. For 4 years, his income barely met their basic needs. Rachel, worn out from fulfilling the roles of both mother and sole financial provider, found herself grappling with the household budget, burdened by an immense weight. Felt an emotional weight as she observed Jason squander both time and money, leaving their family's future shrouded in uncertainty despite her relentless efforts. Rachel found herself engulfed in feelings of powerlessness and overwhelm. How had she arrived at this point? Why was she trapped in this unending cycle? She couldn't shake the thought that perhaps she had made a mistake or was fated to endure this frustration and despair. All her life, she had envisioned a partner who would genuinely collaborate with her, someone who would equally share the responsibilities of nurturing their children and constructing a stable future. Instead, she felt the burden of it all resting solely on her shoulders, while Jason appeared indifferent to the need for change or support. If you're still engaged with this video and find these insights valuable, please leave a comment below to show me you're still with me. Listening to my friends share stories about their marriages brings a sharp pang to my heart. They recount how their husbands shower them with affection, whisk them away on trips, and surprise them with thoughtful gifts on special occasions, everything I've always longed for. I have yearned for something deeper in my marriage, but what I experience is an increasing emptiness as time passes. My husband Mark has never truly given me a heartfelt gift or taken me on a trip to celebrate our relationship. He only acknowledges our birthdays and anniversaries out of obligation, providing merely a token celebration that feels more like a formality than a sincere expression of affection. Meanwhile, my friends have renovated their homes, their children attend esteemed schools, and their living standards continue to improve, yet I find myself longing for more. As I survey my home, I see a place that has languished in disrepair for over a decade, untouched by any effort to revitalize it. It feels as though we are frozen in time, lacking any forward momentum. The house, with its aged structure, chipped walls, and outdated furnishings, mirrors a future that seems equally stagnant. The life we lead now stands in stark contrast to the dreams I once held for our family. Observing the vibrant lives of my friends only amplifies the heaviness of my own reality. I find myself not yearning for material possessions, nor do I place expectations on my husband. All I desire is for him to have a stable job, one that demands hard work, showcases commitment, and considers the future. I want him to be responsible enough to secure our family's well-being. Yet, even this fundamental expectation feels like too much to ask. Mark appears indifferent to the idea of building a future for us. He seems satisfied with the status quo, even as everything around us crumbles. I just wish he would make an effort to think beyond today, to envision a future. Our children, our home, and our lives together seem to fade into the background as he drifts through life without goals, ambition, or a desire for improvement. What's even more frustrating is his apparent contentment with this state of being. He seems perfectly fine living in indifference. He often states, "I can live like this, it's enough," showing no interest in bettering himself or our situation. There's no consideration for tomorrow, no planning for the years ahead. It feels as if he's merely waiting for life to pass by, devoid of purpose or direction. His lack of ambition and refusal to even consider the future makes me feel as though I'm living with someone who has no value or drive. It's exhausting, and I feel powerless to change it. At the beginning of our marriage, I truly believed that by supporting Mark, he would change. I thought that if I stood by him and encouraged him, he would become the strong, responsible man I knew he could be. I believed he would eventually step up and protect our family the way I needed him to. But after 15 years, I've come to face the harsh reality. Never change. I've invested so much of my time and, more painfully, my hope. Every time I look at him now, all I feel is disappointment. I watch him navigate a life devoid of purpose and goals, and it fills me with anger. I'm shouldering everything alone, raising our children, managing the finances, running the household, while he drifts through life without making any real contribution. His lack of involvement and care have created a significant rift between us, and at times, I can't help but feel trapped. I often question why I ever chose him. What was I thinking? There was something about him that led me to believe we could create a life together. Yet, I find myself trapped in a relentless cycle of frustration and despair, with no answers in sight. Each day spent with him only deepens my resentment. I loathe his indifference, his selfishness, and his unwillingness to change. I cannot forgive him for prioritizing comfort over responsibility. Above all, I despise myself for feeling ensnared in this marriage, for accepting so little. As we navigate the narratives of these women, we uncover the profound depths of their experiences. Personal struggles in marriage can profoundly influence relationships and emotional and physical well-being. From feelings of neglect and betrayal to frustration and disappointment, these experiences reflect the harsh realities many couples encounter as they age. Whether it's grappling with unshared responsibilities, unmet emotional needs, or the quiet erosion of intimacy, these narratives underscore the significance of acknowledging when a relationship ceases to nurture and the challenges involved in reclaiming it. Happiness is a journey, and I invite you to reflect on the stories shared today. Was there a specific lesson or insight that resonated with you? How do you envision incorporating it into your life or relationships? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video valuable, I would appreciate your feedback and support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your encouragement is truly appreciated and enables us to keep creating meaningful content. Your life can truly transform. Thank you for tuning in, and always keep in mind that it's never too late to embark on a journey toward a healthier, more fulfilling existence. Until next time.